جميلا ورأيت وعمر في أمان الله.
With Radio Algeria International, you will not miss a single major political or economic event. Radio Algeria International, our voice in the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
Members of the National People's Assembly have overwhelmingly approved the 2026 financial law finance law, which includes a series of measures to promote investment, support the economy, and boost purchasing power. Algiers will host the 4th African Startup Conference, a major continental innovation event that will kick off tomorrow, Saturday, and will last until next Monday. And the leaders of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda have signed a peace deal aimed at ending the long-running conflict in the region at a summit hosted by U.S. President Donald Trump in Washington. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. First in our news, the State Minister of Foreign Affairs, the National Community Abroad and African Affairs, Ahmed Attaf, has received the Deputy Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of the Republic of South Africa, Alvin Bouts, according to a statement from the ministry. Alvin Bouts arrived in Algeria on an official visit to represent his country at the 12th session of the high-level seminar on peace and security in Africa, the Oran process, held in Algiers from the 1st to the 2nd of December 2025. During their talks, the two sides expressed their satisfaction with the growing pace of cooperation between the two brotherly countries, particularly in the context of implementing the outcomes of the last session of the Joint Grand Commission, which met in Algeria under the co-chairmanship of the President of the Republic, مساء, and the President of the Republic of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa. In this respect, the two parties welcomed the consistency and convergence of the two countries' positions on just causes at the continental and international levels, particularly the Palestinian and Sahrawi causes, reaffirming the two countries' commitment to the relevant resolutions of international law and the immutable UN doctrine on decolonization. Let's listen to the statement of the Deputy Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of the Republic of South Africa, Mr. Alvin Bouts.
And of course, my meeting with the Foreign Minister concluded today, where we received a briefing on the UN Security Council resolution as it relates to self-determination of the people of Western Sahara, and how do we take forward in a meaningful way in 2026 the struggles of the Polisario.
And now the members of the National People's Assembly have overwhelmingly approved the 2026 finance law, which includes a series of measures to promote investment, support the economy, and boost purchasing power. The law was approved in a public session chaired by the Speaker of the Assembly, Mr. Azouz Nasri, in the presence of the Minister of Finance, Abdelkarim Bouzred, and members of the government. In his remarks, following the vote, the Speaker of the National People's Assembly affirmed that the law, which includes record budgetary expenditures exceeding 17 trillion Algerian dinars, equaling $135 billion US, is part of the development policy of the President of the Republic, مساء. After reviewing the various structural projects currently underway across the country, Mr. Nasri urged the implementation agencies to accelerate the pace of work to ensure their completion with established deadlines. For his part, the Minister of Finance, Abdelkarim Bouzred, commended the contribution of the Assembly members in enriching the text of the law, calling on all stakeholders to adhere to its provisions and implement the budgets, particularly those directly impacting citizens, such as infrastructure projects and investments scheduled for the coming years. The minister explained that the government's interests are required to be efficient in work and to achieve the objectives of the law. Let's listen to him.
Our role after endorsing the law is to commit especially the government and its services located across the entire national territory to implementing what the law provides for, notably with regard to implementing the budgets, the infrastructure and the investments scheduled for next year, which are of great interest to the citizens. The government and its services, with all their components, are required to work effectively and achieve the set goals.
Meanwhile, the head of the Economic and Financial Affairs Committee of the National Assembly, Noordin Taj, considered that endorsing the text of law constitutes an important milestone in Algeria's economic transformation. And the Minister of Interior, Local Assemblies and Transport, Said Sayoud, has presented the draft law on the territorial organization of the country to the Commission of Legal, Administrative, Human Rights, Local Organization, Counter Planning and Territorial Division of the Council of the Nation. On this occasion, the Minister specified that the bill amending and supplementing Law 8409 on the territorial organization of the country aims primarily to promote 11 administrative districts to 4 provinces, bringing the new territorial organization of the country to 69 wilayas, comprising 1,541 municipalities. He added that this was being done in accordance with the directives of the President of the Republic, who has repeatedly stressed the need to update the territorial organization to adapt it to demographic and socioeconomic changes, and to enable local authorities to fully assume their missions and prerogatives in order to promote development, increase the attractiveness of the territories, and improve the living environment of the populations, particularly in the highlands or high plateaus and the south. On the occasion of the celebration of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, Algeria has organized, alongside Austria and New Zealand, and in cooperation with the UN Mine Action Service, the Office for Disarmament Affairs, the Department of Peace Operations, and the United Nations Development Programme, a high-level event and a special exhibition highlighting the harmful effects of the use of anti-personnel mines, stressing the need to change preconceived ideas about persons with disabilities and the progress made at the international level in terms of victim care and social inclusion. The details with our colleague Saad Bougazi.
During the opening ceremony of the event, Algeria shared its bitter experience with the aftermath of colonization, recalling that the French colonizers laid more than 11 million mines. In a speech delivered on this occasion, Algeria's Deputy Permanent Representative at the UN Ambassador Toufiq Koudri spoke of the scale of this historical tragedy, pointing out that the proportion of anti-personnel mines at the time was 11 mines per inhabitant in border areas, and an average of 1.2 mines per inhabitant nationwide, causing thousands of victims, a tragedy that continued for decades after independence. In this context, Algeria stressed that the fight against mines is not limited to the technical aspect, but aims above all to bring justice to victims, support development and promote justice, considering that mines are a threat to fundamental rights, the right to life, freedom of movement, education and work, while insisting on the need to ensure the full and effective social inclusion of survivors and persons with disabilities. The event was attended by prominent UN figures, including Under-Secretary General for Peace Operations Jean-Pierre Lacroix and UN Global Envoy for Persons with Disabilities in Conflict and Peace-Building Situations, Gilles Delay. Participants unanimously stressed the importance of strengthening international efforts to achieve a mine-free world and guarantee the dignity and rights of persons with disabilities.
And Algiers will host the 4th African Startup Conference, a major continental innovation event that will kick off tomorrow, Sunday, and will last until next Monday. This Pan-African event, organized under the patronage of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, will bring together more than 25,000 participants under the theme Raising African Champions. The Minister of Economy, Startups and Micro-Enterprises, Noordin Wadah, says more about the conference theme.
Alors, vous avez le sommet ministériel qui rassemblerait quelques dizaines de ministres africains et de...
So you have the ministerial meeting, which brings together dozens of African ministers, heads of delegation and high-ranking officials of international organizations, notably the African Union. There is a Pan-African collaboration aspect to discuss how to develop an African approach and to boost startups, encourage them and remove barriers between different countries, tariff barriers, language barriers, and all the obstacles that make it difficult for African startups on the continent to evolve and become champions. Hence, the choice of this year's theme, which aims to demonstrate that there are already champions on the African continent and how to increase the number of startups worth hundreds of millions of dollars or even more.
Quelques centaines de millions de dollars, voire même plus que ça.
The Fourth African Startup Conference is a true continental platform aimed at contributing to the development of a competitive, sustainable and inclusive technology ecosystem in Africa. This year, Rwanda will be the guest of honor, reflecting its significant progress in innovation and Algeria's commitment to promoting cooperation with leading African nations in the field of entrepreneurship. The Minister of the Environment and Quality of Life, Kautar Kriku, has started from Timimoun, or has shared from Timimoun in the south of the country the contribution of her sector in supporting tourism. Speaking during her visit to the environment stand devoted notably to the promotion of biodiversity as part of the exhibition organized on the sidelines of the 7th International Festival of Saharan Tourism, Ms. Kriko affirmed that her department is working to support the tourism sector by encouraging environmental projects and promoting the culture of preservation of the environment. Shifting now to the Middle East, where the Zionist occupation forces and settlers are stepping up their aggression against the defenseless Palestinian population across the occupied West Bank in an attempt to push the native Palestinians to leave their country so as to seize more land and expand the illegal Jewish settlements. Said Bougazi has more details.
Jewish settlers cut water transmission lines in the village of Kherbet al-Dir, located in the northern Jordan Valley, early this morning, according to local reports. Rights activists stated that the settlers targeted water pipelines connected to one of the region's springs, which are owned by local resident Ammar Deragme. The attack disrupted access to a crucial water source for the affected family and nearby communities. This assault is part of an intensified campaign of attacks by Jewish settlers aiming to displace Palestinians from their homes and lands in the northern Jordan Valley, contributing to a broader strategy to undermine their ability to live and sustain themselves in the region. Settlers set fire to 2 vehicles and sprayed racist graffiti during an early morning attack on the village of Taibe, east of Ramallah. Residents said that the assault took place at dawn on Friday when groups of settlers broke into the village and targeted civilian property. The incident is part of an ongoing campaign of organized attacks carried out by settler groups under the protection of Zionist occupation forces. Over the recent weeks, these groups have been burning property, directly targeting shepherds, blocking secondary roads, and storming several villages. Southeast of Bethlehem, a Palestinian man suffered bruises and wounds on Thursday evening following an assault by Zionist occupation forces in the village of El Maniya. The Palestinian Red Crescent in Bethlehem reported that occupation forces stopped a garbage collection vehicle near the El Maniya roundabout and forcibly removed the driver, Jihad Zawahra, 37. He was beaten by soldiers, resulting in multiple bruises, contusions and wounds, and was subsequently taken to a hospital for treatment.
Still in the Middle East, Zionist occupation forces sharply escalated their attacks on the eastern areas of the Gaza Strip overnight and at dawn today, launching heavy fire east of Khan Yunis alongside artillery shelling and live fire northeast of the city. The escalation comes as a continued breach of the ceasefire agreement that entered into effect on October 10. At least 7,000 Palestinians from the Gaza Strip were wounded during the Zionist genocidal aggression, have become disabled, the Palestinian health authorities said. According to the same source, doctors in Gaza recorded that at least 5,000 cases of amputations, more than 20% of which concern children. Approximately 30,000 people in Gaza injured during the attack need a long-term rehabilitation. And the chairman of the Palestinian National Council, Rauf Hafatouh, has said that the bombing by the Zionists of tents for displaced people in the Al-Mawasi area south of Gaza is a blatant violation of the ceasefire in force and a serious breach of international law. He added that the fire that ravaged the tents of children and displaced families after an airstrike provides evidence that the Zionist occupation government needs no pretext to continue its attacks. The Chinese authorities have announced the granting of 100 million euros in humanitarian aid to the state of Palestine in order to support efforts to alleviate the humanitarian crisis in the Gaza Strip caused by the 2 years of long Zionist aggression. And the delegation was representing all members of the UN Security Council Council arrived in Damascus yesterday for the institution's first visit to Syria for 14 years, media reported. On their arrival in the capital, the members of the delegation walked through the devastated Jabbar neighborhood and visited several sites in the old city of Damascus in the company of the representative of Syria's permanent mission at the UN, Ibrahim Olabi, according to the Syrian press agency Sana. The Security Council delegation then went to Qasr al-Sha'b, where it held discussions with the president of the transition, Ahmed al-Shara. And the leaders of the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda have signed a peace deal aimed at ending the long-running conflict in the region at a summit hosted by U.S. President Donald Trump in Washington. However, analysts have pointed out that this was just the endorsement of an agreement reached in June that has failed to end the fighting. Ahead of the summit, there were renewed clashes in resource-rich Eastern DRC between government forces and rebels believed to be backed by Rwanda. The agreement sets out an ambitious framework, a very detailed and powerful one in Trump's view, in an attempt to resolve a conflict whose devastating episodes have claimed many lives in Eastern DRC over more than 30 years. The deal notably calls for a cessation of hostilities, the establishment of a permanent ceasefire, a disarmament program, for a process for return of displaced people as well. And the lasting peace agreement has been signed between the Ethiopian regional government of Amhara and the Amhara Fano People's Organization in the presence of Ambassador Salma Malika Haddadi, Vice President of the African Union Commission. Negotiations between the two parties to conclude this agreement were preceded by discussions held under the auspices of the AU and the International Authority on Development, IGAD. And finally, the national broadcasters of Ireland, Spain, and the Netherlands have announced that they will boycott the 2026 Eurovision Song Contest after the European Broadcasting Union decided to allow the Zionist entity to participate in the upcoming competition. These countries were among several parties that had called for Israel's exclusion, citing the heavy human toll in Gaza and accusations of unfair voting practices. With this last piece of news, we come to the end of this news bulletin for today. Time now for a weekly program, a special program devoted to 5G, compiled and presented by my colleague Mas'ud Sharfi. As for me, I'll meet you again tomorrow for a fresh edition of our news bulletin. Until then, stay tuned to Radio Algeria International, and bye-bye for now.
Hello and welcome to your weekly program Technoverse and the Science Planet on Radio Algeria International. Today we explore 5G, the fifth generation of mobile networks that promises to transform how we communicate, work, or even think about technology. But to understand 5G, we must first travel to the beginning, to see how mobile communication evolved from its humble beginnings to the complex, ultra-connected networks we have today. The story of mobile communication began in the 1980s with 1G, the first generation of mobile cellular technology. The first mobile phones were large, heavy devices that could barely fit in a briefcase. They were used exclusively for voice calls, and the networks were entirely analog, which means they could only carry voice as continuous signals, making calls less clear and unable to support text messages or internet. Signal coverage was limited, calls often dropped, and mobile phones were considered a luxury for business elites. Then came 2G, the second generation in the early 1990s, and the digital revolution began. Suddenly, mobile phones could send text messages, and calls became clearer and more reliable. For the first time, people could connect not just through voice, but through data, laying the foundation for the connected lifestyle we take for granted today. 2G also introduced basic security protocols in communications, making conversations safer from people trying to secretly listen or intercept calls. By the the early years of the 21st century, 3G arrived, bringing mobile internet to the masses. With 3G, smartphones could browse websites, send emails, and even make video calls. This was the era that turned phones into essential tools for work, learning, and social interaction. Suddenly, the world was at our fingertips, and the concept of a truly mobile lifestyle was born. Then came 4G in the 2010s, offering much faster speeds that enable seamless streaming of videos, real-time social media updates, and mobile apps for banking, services like Uber, and other ride-booking apps and gaming. Each generation of mobile networks didn't just improve connectivity, it reshaped how people interacted, worked, and entertained themselves. And now we have reached 5G, the next major leap in mobile technology. So what exactly is 5G? To put it simply, 5G stands for the fifth generation of mobile networks, but it's far more than just faster internet. Unlike the earlier generations that focused mainly on improving voice clarity or boosting speed, 5G is designed for something much bigger: massive connectivity, ultra-low latency, and higher reliability. That means it's not only about how fast you can download a movie, but how efficiently millions of devices can communicate at the same time, from your phone and smartwatch to traffic lights, home appliances, and even industrial robots. Imagine a network so capable that it can support an entire smart city where every sensor, vehicle, and device exchanges information instantly without congestion or delay. From a technical standpoint, 5G operates using higher frequency radio waves, known as millimeter waves. These waves can carry a huge amount of data at incredible speeds, up to 100 times faster than 4G, but they cannot travel as far or penetrate walls easily. This is why 5G networks need a much denser infrastructure, many smaller antennas placed closer together across cities and towns. These antennas work together using advanced technologies like beamforming, which focuses signals directly towards your device instead of spreading them everywhere. But what does all this mean for you as a user? Think of it this way. With 4G, you might wait a few seconds for a high-definition video to load. With 5G, that same video starts instantly, and downloading a full movie could take less than 10 seconds. But the real impact of 5G goes far beyond faster phones. It's the foundation of a newer connected world. This technology powers innovations that once sounded like science fiction. Picture autonomous cars communicating with traffic lights, road sensors, and each other in real time, preventing accidents before they happen. Imagine doctors performing surgeries from another continent through robotic instruments connected via 5G that respond instantly with no delay between movements and action. 5G is also transforming how we grow food, work, and learn. In agriculture, it connects drones, sensors, and irrigation systems, allowing farmers to monitor crops and save water efficiently. In factories, machines and robots can coordinate seamlessly, improving precision and safety. And in education, students in remote areas can join virtual classrooms with no lag, feeling as if they are right there. Even entertainment is being redefined. With 5G, augmented and virtual reality experiences become more immersive, bringing concerts, museums, and games to life in entirely new ways. In short, 5G is more than just the next generation of mobile networks. It is the invisible infrastructure behind the digital revolution. It connects people, places, and things in real time, laying the groundwork for smarter cities, safer roads, and more connected lives. Yet with all this excitement, myths have spread. Some claim 5G is harmful. The International Telecommunication Union (ITU), a UN agency, has clearly stated that such claims are false. 5G uses non-ionizing radio waves, which cannot damage DNA or spread viruses. Science confirms that 5G is safe when implemented according to global standards. Despite its promise, 5G faces real challenges. High-frequency waves require more towers, especially in cities, and building this infrastructure is expensive. Coverage is uneven globally. High-income countries are moving fast, but many lower-income regions may be left behind, highlighting a digital divide. The UN estimates that by 2025, 5G will cover over half of the world's population, but large gaps will remain, particularly in rural and developing regions. During the launch of the International Telecommunication Union's ITU flagship report, Facts and Figures 2024, a report on global connectivity, digital inclusion and 5G coverage, Dr. Cosmas Lakison Zavzava, director of the ITU Telecommunication Development Bureau, drew attention to uneven 5G rollout across income groups.
It is estimated that more than half of the world's population is covered by a 5G mobile network, and we are in an era of artificial intelligence, and of course 5G is critical because of its low latency. However, distribution is very uneven and disparities between high and low income countries persist. 84% of the population of high income countries is already covered by 5G compared with just 4% in low income countries. Where 5G is not available, 4G is a good alternative. However, 4G only reaches about half of the population in low-income countries, where 3G remains an important technology for connecting to the internet.
There are also environmental considerations. More towers and devices mean higher energy consumption and electronic waste. Experts emphasize sustainable development strategies, ensuring that technological progress does not come at the cost of our planet. Even everyday devices, from smartphones to Internet of Things gadgets, must be designed with sustainability in mind. Looking ahead, 5G is just the beginning. Researchers are already exploring 6G, promising even faster speeds, global coverage, and networks that can anticipate human needs. In the future, cities could respond automatically to emergencies, logistics could become fully automated, and healthcare could reach remote communities instantly. However, with this power comes responsibility. Privacy, cybersecurity, and equitable access must guide the development of these technologies. If managed wisely, 5G and future networks could reshape our societies for the better, making technology a tool for progress, connection, and